Is this your lunchbox? Yes, sir. It has my name on it. Don't lie to me. Turn around. A 9-year-old, handcuffed in front of his classmates, crying, screaming, begging to call his mother. And the officer saying, "You people always make excuses." His crime? Bringing his own lunch to school. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. It was Wednesday, pizza day, but Jalen Monroe didn't eat school lunch. His mother packed it every morning. Peanut butter sandwich, apple slices, bottle of water, oatmeal cookie. Always in the same navy blue lunchbox. Name stitched in white on the front pocket. J. Monroe. That day, he left it in the cafeteria by mistake. 30 minutes later, it was gone. He found it in the hallway, near the water fountain. Picked it up. Opened it. His food still inside. Then he heard a voice. "Hey, drop that." He turned. A school officer, tall, white, hand on his belt. "Whose lunchbox is that?" "Mine, sir." "Where'd you get it?" "I left it at lunch." Don't lie to me." Jalen pointed to the stitched name. "That's mine. J. Monroe." "That's me." The officer stepped closer. "You stole this?" "No, I didn't." He tried to walk away. The officer grabbed his shoulder. "You're coming with me." Jalen panicked. "Please." "That's mine. Ask Ms. Riley. She's my teacher." But no one was around. The hallway was empty. The cameras were pointed the wrong way. 10 minutes later, he was in the principal's office. Hands behind his back. Plastic zip tie cutting into his wrist. The officer dropped the lunchbox on the desk. Caught him red-handed. Stolen property. The principal frowned. That's his name on the front. Could be fake. Could be borrowed. Could be anything. Jalen cried. "Call my mom. Please." The principal didn't move. "Let's wait for the report." "What report?" "That's my lunchbox." The officer whispered something. The principal nodded. Jalen watched as adults decided whether he belonged in trouble or in a cell. His wrist ached. He looked down, still holding the oatmeal cookie, crushed in his hand. His name on the front. His food inside. His skin the only thing they saw. And in that moment, something broke, not in him, but around him. The world he thought was fair suddenly wasn't. Jalen's mother arrived 23 minutes after the call. No one let her in. The front office secretary repeated, "They're in a safety hold. You'll need to wait." She pointed at the clock. "My son is 9. What exactly are you holding him for?" No answer. Inside the principal's office, Jalen sat in silence. His wrists were free now, but the marks stayed. The officer filled out a form. Student detained for suspected theft and evasion. Match description. The principal signed it. Jalen looked up. "What description?" No reply. "Who said I stole something?" The officer stood. "You were caught holding property that didn't belong to you." Jalen pointed again. "It has my name on it." The principal tapped the desk. "We'll sort this out. For now, this will be documented as a behavioral infraction." Jalen's voice cracked. "I didn't do anything." The officer picked up the lunchbox. "We'll hold this as evidence until it's verified." Jalen stood. "That's mine. It's got my mom's handwriting inside." Too late. The officer walked out. Down the hall, past the classrooms, holding the proof in his hand. Jalen's mother was finally let in. She rushed to her son. "Are you hurt? Did they touch you?" He nodded. She turned to the principal. "Explain." Now. He cleared his throat. "There was an incident involving a possible theft. Your son was detained by our school resource officer." "Detained?" "Protocol. He was holding an item reported missing." "His own lunchbox?" "That's under review." She stepped forward. "Open the camera footage. Let's see the hallway. Those cameras are only activated during specific intervals. Then check the lunch records. He didn't take school lunch. He brought his own. The system only records selections, not absences." She stared. "So you have no proof. Just assumptions." The officer returned. "No ID inside the box. Nothing personalized." Jalen whispered. "The cookie wrapper. It has my initials. My mom writes them every morning." He looked at his mom. She pulled a second cookie from her purse. Same wrapping. Same handwriting. She held it up. "Want to check the ink?" The officer paused. The principal adjusted his collar. "We'll revisit the file. For now, we'll suspend the behavioral report." But they didn't say sorry. Didn't correct the paperwork. Didn't ask if he was okay. They only backed down when cornered. Jalen looked at his mother. "What happens now?" She answered. "We document everything." The next morning, Jalen didn't want to go to school. He sat by the door, backpack on, tears silent. His mom knelt beside him. "You didn't do anything wrong. And that means we walk back in with our heads high." He nodded, but didn't look up. At 8:15 a.m., she entered the main office alone. She asked to see the principal. He wasn't available. She asked for the student affairs coordinator. They sent a clerk instead. I want the disciplinary report removed from my son's file. The clerk blinked. Ma'am, once it's entered, it becomes part of his behavioral archive. Then delete it. I'm not authorized to do that. Then find someone who is. An hour later, she sat across from the assistant principal in a small meeting room. I reviewed the incident, he said. The report doesn't state guilt. It simply notes the officer's intervention. She held up the paper. It says suspected theft and evasion. That's guilt. It says suspected. From who? There was no accuser. No missing lunchbox. Just my son holding what belonged to him. He nodded slowly. I understand. But our system can't delete entries once submitted. It would require a formal appeal process. Then started. He hesitated. That process usually applies to high school-level disciplinary actions. Then this will be your first elementary case. He looked uncomfortable. It takes board review. Legal oversight. It could take months. She leaned forward. My son is 9. I'm not letting you mark him before he's even had a chance to be a student. At home, she filed the paperwork herself, downloaded the form, filled every line, attached the cookie wrapper photo, the receipt from the lunchbox, the internal email where no theft was reported. She submitted it. Confirmation. Appeal case #A4982. Under review. She told Jalen that night. He asked, will they believe us this time? She touched his cheek. We're not asking them to believe. We're making it impossible for them to lie. He opened his backpack, pulled out his school folder. Inside, a drawing. A boy sitting on a bench, holding a lunchbox with his name on it. But this time, the name glowed. He smiled. I drew it stronger. The email came at 7:42 a.m. Subject: Appeal A4982 Status Update. She opened it slowly. After review, the committee has determined that no procedural error occurred. The documentation will remain on file. No signature. No explanation. No mention of Jalen's name. She forwarded it to herself, then printed 2 copies. One for her binder, one for the attorney she hadn't hired yet. At school, Jalen sat alone at lunch. Kids whispered. Teachers glanced. He'd become the kid who got arrested for stealing his own food. He kept his lunchbox hidden in his backpack now. At recess, he didn't run, didn't laugh. He watched the fence line, like he was afraid of being cornered again. That afternoon, his mother returned to the district office. Same clerk. Same tone. I'd like to request full access to my son's disciplinary file. Every note, every entry, every message related to the incident. The clerk hesitated. That may take time. Then start now. She submitted a written request. 3 days later, she received a redacted PDF. Several pages blacked out. What is this? Internal security language, they told her. She wasn't satisfied. Filed again. Cited FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This time, the document was fuller. She read every page and found it. Page 6. Student had been observed in prior weeks lingering in hallways during non-assigned times. A false pattern. Invented. Inserted. Used to justify suspicion. She highlighted it. Wrote in the margin. He's 9. He was late to math twice. She brought it to the principal. This is character framing. He sighed. Ma'am, none of this is personal. That's the problem. It never is. But it hurts like it is. That night, Jalen asked, if they say I'm bad again, will people believe them? His mom answered, not if we're louder with the truth. She scanned the whole file, uploaded it to a private folder labeled J. Monroe Misconduct Archive. Then added a note. This is what it looks like when they prepare to punish a child before he grows old enough to question them. She found the lawyer through a local education rights clinic. His name was Adam Thorne. Soft voice. Sharp memory. They met at a small coffee shop. She slid the documents across the table. My son is 9. They flagged him like he was a threat. He read, page by page. Didn't speak for 12 minutes. Then said, this is strategic targeting, and it's not new. He filed a formal notice of representation with the district the next day. From that moment, everything changed. Emails from the school turned cautious. Phone calls stopped. No more casual drop-ins. At pickup, a staff member whispered, you went legal? She didn't answer. By Thursday, she received a message from the district's family engagement officer. We'd like to schedule a discussion to understand your concerns and rebuild trust. She brought Adam with her. The meeting was held in a conference room. 3 staff members, 2 school officials, 1 recorder. The lead administrator began. First, we want to say this is all a misunderstanding. The officer was following standard protocols. Adam interrupted gently. Protocol doesn't erase trauma. It just distributes liability. The administrator continued. The behavioral note isn't punitive. It's for safety. Jalen's mother leaned in. Safety from whom? No one answered. Adam placed a binder on the table. This is a timeline. It shows fabricated behavioral patterns, unsupported accusations, and systemic resistance to correction. He opened to page 12. This note here? Observed lingering in hallways. That's based on 2 tardies. You built suspicion from lateness. Silence. The administrator tried again. We understand your concern. We're open to reviewing the phrasing. Not phrasing, Adam said. Removal. Jalen's mom added. You're trying to rewrite reality so it justifies how you handled my son. Still no apology. Just another offer. Would you consider mediation instead of formal review? She stood. No. I'll consider justice. That night, Jalen asked what a lawyer did. His mom smiled. A lawyer puts the truth in a suit so people have to hear it. Jalen drew a picture that evening. A kid in a tie, holding a lunchbox like a briefcase. Under it, he wrote, "Me, when I grow up." His mom scanned it, saved it in her archive. Named the file, Future Exhibit A. It started with a math quiz. Jalen got every answer right, but his grade said 76%. He brought it home. His mom checked it twice. There's no red marks. No corrections. This is perfect. He nodded. She said, I forgot to show my work. You always show your work. I did. She said I didn't. The next week, a group project was reassigned, without him. His name had been on the list. Now it wasn't. When he raised his hand to ask, the teacher replied, Let's keep going. He stayed quiet. At recess, 2 kids who used to play with him started avoiding him. One whispered, My dad said not to talk to you too much. He said your mom's making trouble. Jalen sat by the fence, hands in his lap. At home, he said, They think I'm dangerous. His mom answered, No, they're just afraid of what happens when you know you don't deserve this. She emailed the teacher about the math grade. Got no reply. Emailed again. Still nothing. Adam, the lawyer, advised filing a formal request to audit his academic treatment. She did. That triggered a wellness check-in. 2 counselors pulled Jalen from science class. Asked questions like, Do you feel angry often? Do you trust your teachers? Do you ever feel like hurting yourself or others? He didn't understand. I just want my real grade back. They wrote that down. Later that day, the principal called. We're noticing Jalen seems withdrawn. Less engaged. His mom replied, You boxed him out, and now you're blaming the silence. The principal shifted. We're concerned he's becoming isolated. He's not isolated. He's being iced out. She wrote everything down. Created a new folder. Academic retaliation log. Every grade discrepancy. Every ignored email. Every comment from classmates. Jalen helped her name the files. One was titled, The Day I Disappeared from Group Work. Another, Quiz with no mistakes, but still wrong. His drawings changed. Less color. More gray. One showed a classroom where he was invisible. Just an outline at a desk. Underneath, he wrote, They erased me without erasers. His mom added it to the archive, then whispered, They thought you'd stop learning. But now you're learning everything. She submitted the complaint on a Tuesday. 17 pages. Time-stamped evidence. Attached exhibits from Jalen's file, his altered grades, and redacted hallway records. Subject line. Systemic misconduct and academic retaliation against a minor. Urgent review requested. She didn't expect a fast answer, but the response came in 36 hours. Received. Assigned for internal investigation. Office of Equity and Oversight. They scheduled an interview. Jalen's mother arrived with 2 binders. A flash drive. And her voice, steady now. The lead investigator met her in a quiet office downtown. Middle-aged. Neutral tie. Hands folded. We're reviewing multiple claims this month. Yours stood out. She didn't smile. Because I have proof. Or because I didn't whisper? He nodded slowly. Both. She placed the flash drive on the table. It contains everything. Every ignored email. Every test. Every hallway schedule. Every attempt to make my son feel other. He plugged it in. On the screen, file names like quiz mismatch _ math section B.pdf. Denied group work underscore transcript dot mp3. Lunchbox incident underscore timeline dot docs. He read in silence, then said, "This will trigger a formal process. It may get uncomfortable." She answered, "It already is." Back at school, they noticed. Jalen's teacher pulled him aside. "Everything okay at home?" He nodded. She smiled too widely. "Just checking. You know, sometimes complaints can create tension." He didn't answer, just wrote in his notebook. She smiled like it hurt her. Later that week, the principal requested a restorative circle meeting to clear the air. Jalen's mother declined. "We're past clearing. We're documenting now." 3 days later, a district officer appeared on campus. Quiet visit. Clipboard. Suit. No badge. Interviewed staff. Walked halls. Took notes. Something shifted. One teacher who'd ignored Jalen for weeks said, "I liked your reading summary." He nodded. Didn't believe it, but logged it anyway. That night, his mom updated the archive. District watch begins, day 1. She added, "When they start pretending it didn't happen, that's how you know they're afraid it's real." The first call came at 6:42 p.m. No name, just static. Then, "You're pushing too hard." She stayed quiet. The voice added, "Careful. Some files are better closed." Click. She saved the recording. Named it. Unidentified underscore call underscore threat tone dot wave. The next day, HR at her hospital called her in. "We've received informal concerns. Someone said you're distracted lately." She narrowed her eyes. "My work's clean. Always has been." The manager nodded. "Just a friendly check-in. Let's keep it that way." She walked out. Wrote down the date, time, wording. Added it to her own log. Title: Professional Retaliation Attempt, Phase 1. That night, Jalen showed her a letter from school. Mandatory academic review meeting requested. Parent attendance required. No reason listed. No trigger. Just a meeting. She arrived early. Principal. Teacher. Guidance staff. Smiles thin. Voices too calm. "Jalen's grades are concerning," the teacher said. "His math has dropped. Participation's changed. He's less cooperative." She opened her binder. "That's called a hostile learning environment. You created it. They shifted. We just want to help." Then remove the behavioral flag, clear the incident report, and restore his records. Silence. Then the principal leaned forward. "You're escalating this. The board prefers resolution, not confrontation." She stood. "The board prefers silence. I prefer my son." Jalen didn't speak all evening. At bedtime, he said, "If they try to hurt you, will it be my fault?" She held his hand. "No, they're not scared of me. They're scared of you knowing this isn't your fault." She scanned the meeting notes, uploaded them to the drive. Labeled, "District Disruption Strategy, Undocumented Pressure." Then she added a note. "They want me quiet." But all silence ever did was protect the wrong people. The next morning, Jalen walked into class. Wore his lunchbox on his chest like a badge. No one said a word. But the teacher paused, just long enough to know. They were still watching. The report arrived on a Thursday. Emailed. Encrypted. Titled, "Preliminary Findings, Case Review A4982 Confidential." She opened it with Adam on the phone. The language was careful. Sanitized. But not empty. "We find procedural inconsistencies in the incident handling involving student Jam. Disciplinary documentation may not have met the threshold of verification required. Behavioral coding listed as monitoring was applied prematurely. No apology. No punishment. Just soft language for hard damage." Adam spoke calmly. "This is what institutional guilt looks like." She nodded. Almost an admission. Never a correction. Jalen came home with a new paper. Spelling test, 100%. Smiley face in the corner. "Miss Trenton said I'm doing better." His mom raised an eyebrow. Better, or just watched? He didn't answer. That night, she opened the archive. Added the report. Created a new folder. Proof they knew. Then she wrote a summary, a timeline, a list of names, screenshots, files, photos. She didn't wait for justice anymore. She built her own. Uploaded the archive to a public platform. No passwords. No edits. Just evidence. Titled it, "Lunchbox, How a 9-Year-Old Was Framed by Policy." She added a line. "This isn't for outrage. It's for record. So when they rewrite it later, the truth already lives here." She hit publish, then shared it with journalists, advocates, teachers who asked what happened, parents who said, this could be my child. By morning, it had 4,000 views. By noon, 10,000. No comments. No attacks. Just shares. Jalen saw the page. You really posted it? She nodded. They told us to move on. I decided to move through. He smiled. I want to draw the cover. He sketched a boy holding a lunchbox with chains on it. Keys in his other hand. Caption. I opened it anyway. She added it to the archive. Under. Final entry, before the world knew. The district never issued a statement. No apology. No correction. Just silence, the same kind they used from the start. But silence was no longer power. Because people had read, watched, saved. The archive was cited in a webinar on educational bias, quoted in a civil rights training, referenced in a parent union newsletter titled, What Justice Looks Like When You Have to Build It Yourself. Jalen stayed quiet about it. But he knew. He saw the printouts in his teacher's folder. The way her voice changed when she said his name. Softer. Careful. Real. One day, the principal passed him in the hall. Didn't look. Didn't speak. Jalen didn't flinch. At lunch, a boy asked, You're the one from the story, right? He nodded. Did they ever say sorry? Jalen took a bite of his sandwich. No. But they stopped lying. At home, his mom got a message from another parent. They tried the same thing with my daughter. This time I was ready. I read your file. She didn't reply. Just added the message to a new folder. Replications after the record. She updated the archive one last time. Final note. They never erased him. They only taught him how to speak in documents. She printed the whole archive. Bound it. Stamped the cover. Property of J. Monroe. Jalen placed it on his shelf, next to his books, right under his name tag from 3rd grade. He said, Maybe someone will need it again. She looked at him. They will, but not for the reason you think. He raised an eyebrow. She smiled. Not because it's sad, but because it's true. That evening, he drew one last image. A hallway, a child, a lunchbox that glowed, and across the top, in big block letters. They couldn't take it from me twice. He slipped it inside the binder, closed it, and that's where their story ends. Still open, still visible, still theirs. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire action and hope.